Alright, well, we're going to do the new campaign. This does have the full single-player campaign available. Please, no spoilers. Like I said, this is the first time I am playing this. So if you've already had the good fortune of playing this for a bit, no spoilers. I want to work this out for myself. Of course, the first step is going to be creating a character, I suspect. Right, while that's loading now, I think I can probably do the tea supplies. Character culture. So we've got the Vlandians, we've got the Sturgians, we've got the Empire, we've got the Aserai, the Khuzaits, and the Battanians. Now, I need to try and remember... Actually, we need to make a decision here. What kind of game do we want to do? Do we want to do cavalry with lancing? Do we want to do horse archer? Do we want to do foot archer? Do we want to do foot soldier? Do we want to do foot two-hander, like Mettenheim style? I'm probably not going to limit myself in terms of no cavalry for this first playthrough. And I know that one of these factions, I think it's the Battanians, who are like the Viking types. Oh, they actually have cultural bonuses. Interesting. So I do want to do a Mettenheim style game at some point. So I'll probably save the Vikings for that. Is it the Sturgians? Okay. Yeah, it would be these guys. Cool. So the Vlandians, more upgrade experience to troops from battles. Ooh, that's nice. So these would be basically the Swadians. These are your standard medieval characters. Probably from Frisian type thing. So a lot of these do have real-world cultural... what's the word? Not examples. Flavors? Analogues? Not quite what I meant, but it's similar system. Not even ties. This is when I need to be sitting here with a Theosaurus. No, not parallels. Influences. When they have real-world cultural influences. And the Vlandians are probably based on the Flemish or the Burgundians. So the Vlandians are descendants of adventurers from the west who lived under the Empire for centuries before forming an independent kingdom. With the decline of the imperial authority, they've evolved into a well-organised feudal society led by a caste of warlike nobles who prepare to fight with spears and lances on horseback. So I actually really liked the Swadians from Mount and Blade. So I might well go as a Vlandian first. We'll see. The other thing I want to mention is about 90% of my Mount and Blade time was playing Prophecy of Endor, not regular games, so I might be a little bit out. Also, I just realised I am not recording this. I really should be. So let's start recording this now. Okay, we're actually recording. So the second nation would be the Sturgians. Now these are the Kievan Rus, which is why I really like this, because not a lot is known about the Kievan Rus. They're not just Vikings, they're not just Russians. They are Russian Vikings. Or Ukrainian Vikings, technically. Sturgians are the descendants of the foreign tribes of northern Calradia. As the Empire expanded into their cold forests, they found a ready market for the luxurious furs of the woodland animals who they traditionally hunted and trapped. Sturgian chiefs became princes, vying for preeminence with the help of the Nord mercenaries, who migrated to their realm. They are good hunters and wanderers, travelling far in search of opportunities, both for trade and plunder. So I am probably going to be playing the Sturgians in the future. I'm not going to do it for this playthrough, because like I said, I'm definitely doing a Mettenheim style playthrough. It's how I like playing Mount and Blade, but this time around, I just want to try everything out. The Empire. The Calradian Empire is in decline. Even before the murder of the Emperor Arenikos, the once united realm was torn by political rivalries. Today, those factions are in open war, yet Calradians endure. They are technologically more advanced than their neighbours, and their mastery of engineering is not just evident in their aqueducts, beautiful architecture, and massive city walls. It also makes them experts in siege warfare. So they get a 20% construction speed bonus to town projects, wall repairs, and siege engines. Interesting. I mean, in terms of bonuses, I kind of like that one. Then we've got the Aserai. The Azurai are the inhabitants of the Nahasa Desert, a mixture of nomadic Bedouin and settled oasis farmers. They are famous for their horsemanship and their knowledge of the learning of many lands, especially medicine, gained from lying on some of the continent's most lucrative trade routes. Each clan is fiercely proud of its lineage and often jealous of others. But when united by a charismatic leader, they become a major force in the south. So caravans are 30% cheaper to build and they get a 10% less trade penalty. So trade, I'm guessing, works like Mount Blade, where it's basically profit margins. So you make more money. And it's interesting they actually have to build caravans. That seems like a more advanced start, but I am definitely interested. Khuzaits. The Khuzait Confederation of steppe tribes used to live a nomadic life, but have recently settled in the eastern frontier of the Empire, and are slowly transitioning into an agrarian society with permanent town centres. Despite this, they still retain many aspects of their nomadic life, including their affinity with horses. They are masters of mounted archery, shooting and then galloping out of reach, and they get a 10% extra speed bonus for horsemen on the campaign. Helson! Thank you very much for the raid! Welcome to Helson's viewers. How are you guys doing? I am guessing you were playing this as well. When is Pendor coming to Mount Blade 2? I'm going to leave that up to the Pendor people to announce. I have not been properly involved with Pendor for quite a long time. Russian Viking, surely that's the tagline of the channel. I mean, it kind of is. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Like, Mount Blade was the game that started Mordred Viking's channel off. Like, the game. Prophecy of Pendor, that first game with Mettenheim style. Battanians! The Battanians still remember the olden days of when the woods stretched across the northern Calradia, and the Empire and its cities had yet to violate their sanctity. The fierce warriors remain loyal to their traditional ways. They paint their faces when going to battle, and even their noblemen prefer to fight on foot, while using great axes and two-handed swords with deadly efficiency. Forests give a 10% speed penalty to parties. Less speed penalty to parties, so you can move through the forest quicker. Interesting. So, I'm going to do a poll, and we are going to choose vaguely what kind of character we're going to create from this. So, I'm not going to do an infantryman. Infantryman is something we'll be doing in the future. This is where I want to, like, try stuff out. So, which type of character? And the main question here is horse archer versus lancer. Huzzah! Well, yeah, it's going to be lancer versus horse archer, basically. I will allow bits, and I will allow looted gold to change a bit more. So I know this is weird. There's two types of cavalry that I'm offering here. We can always dismount and fight properly. But when it comes to, like, general stats and things, which direction should we go? Should we go for a horse archer or should we go for a lancer? Pendor is probably going to take a while with the new engine and everything. It depends what exactly they need to port over. Like, graphics and stuff is probably going to be... I mean, I'm talking with no experience here. The graphics would be easier because it's just importing the graphics. Huzzah! It would be mechanically. Whether things like heartbeat quests can transfer over. Utari coming in with a 22-month resubscription. Thank you very much for the ongoing support there, Utari. Very much appreciate it. Just 2 more months, and you will get the far more superior orange wings. And then Duke Exemplo coming in with a 7-month Twitch Prime resubscription. Thank you very much for that, Duke Exemplo. Much appreciated too. Been waiting for this stream to start since I got up this morning. Yeah, I am sorry that I started late, but tech issues. Of course, it was just like the very last thing. I was just like about to press start and then, oh, no camera. And I'm glad I checked that. That would have been even more frustrating. Alright, so people are telling me to drink tea, and I must, of course, obey. So that was the first one, who I forget who told me to do that. But this one's for you. I think it was Exemplo. Nico... No, it was Attila. So that first one was Attila. This one is for you, Nico. This one's for you, Exemplo. That was a bit hot. This is for you, Tiny. And then Yabushido. Grasswing. Okay, so that was actually a remarkably close vote right there. Horse Archer coming in with 49%, but the Lancer did win with 51%, despite Poznik investing 13,000 channel points. So thank you very much for doing that, Poznik. So we're going to go Lancer. So I think it does make the most sense to go Vlandian for the Lancers, just because I really like the medieval Flemish. I mean, they're basically Southern Dutch aesthetic, so we're going to be playing as the Southern Dutch here. Well, Burgundians. I know they're actually Burgundians, but still. Next. Okay, so, you're looking a little bit brutish there, my friend. Can we randomize? We can. What I like to do is randomize until I get a general figure that I like, and then we'll... Oh, that previous one. Can I go back? Looks a bit Viking. I like it. Okay, so that will do. Then I want, yes, male. We're going to be quite pale. More pale. Not that pale. That'll do. Voice pitch. Let's go with deep voice. Height. We'll go slightly taller than usual. Alright, for the face. Where's the beards? There's the beards. This doesn't appear to be beards. Where's the important bit? There are different voices to choose. Ah, here we go.
Form a shield wall! At them!
Line up! The day is ours! Close with them! Form a circle!
Attack!
Look at them run!
Oh, that's high pitch, that's low pitch. Oh, okay, we want low.
Cut them down! Make a circle! Footman, hear me! 2 ladders!
A bit too gruff.
Pull back!
Better.
Form a line!
Form a circle!
Fire at will!
Form a line! Stand your ground! Fall back! Fire!
Pull back! Make a line! Shoot at will! Pace up!
That'll do. Right, where's the beards? I'm missing the most important thing. Yes, this all looks fine. Probably. Actually, one thing we can do, I think, is do the randomize for the fair. There we go. That'll do. Oh, is it just under... Ah, here we go. It's just general hair. Crazy hair. Can I zoom out a little bit? Yes, I can. That's like, oh, the thingy in Simpsons. Bart's nemesis. That dude. We're definitely going for, yeah, that. And blonde. Blonder. Not that blonde. That'll do. And then facial hair. A big bushy beard. Or something a little bit more classical. Because again, we're not a Viking. You know what? This is incredibly similar to my first character in Mount & Blade. So we're going to do this. We're going to have the swashbuckler, the musketeer facial hair. Sideshow Bob, that was the character. So there we go. That's going to be us. Marvellous. Choose our family. We are born into a family of barons' retainers, urban merchants, yeomen, urban blacksmith, hunters, or mercenaries. Ah, and then these are our stats. So we have Vigor 2, one-handed fighting, two-handed fighting, polearm, bow, crossbow, throwing, riding, athletics, smithing, scouting, tactics, roguery, charm, leadership, trade, stewarding, medicine and engineering. And we'll read exactly what those are. That's a pretty imperial Dutch facial hair. Yeah, exactly. We are Flemish, like Southern Dutch. So, Baron's Retainers, what does this do? Ah, okay, this actually changes how they look and what we get. Your father was a bailiff for a local feudal magnate. He looked after his liege's estates, resolved disputes in the village, and helped train the village levy. He rode with the Lord's cavalry, fighting as an armoured knight. I mean, that one does sound pretty similar to the type of character that I was envisioning. So 10 skill level, 1 focus point in riding and polearm, and then we get 1 free point in social. Oh, this is just general overall. So these are like the specialities, and then overall cunning and social and all that. Interesting. So then we got the urban merchants. Your family were merchants in one of the main cities of the kingdom. They organised caravans to nearby towns and were active in the local merchants' guild. I mean, if I was going to do a normal me playthrough, I probably would be urban merchants. 10 skill level, 1 focus point in trade and charm, 1 additional point in intelligence. I mean, that does sound perfectly Mordred-like, to be quite honest. We could be yeomen. Your family were small farmers with just enough land to feed themselves and make a small profit. People like them were the pillars of the kingdom's economy, as well as the backbone of the levy, aka peasants. Hello. Urban blacksmith. Your family owned a smithy in the city. Your father played an active, if minor, role in the town council and served in the militia. 10 skill level, 1 focus point smithing, 2 handed, and also 1 point in vigour. Or we could be hunters. Your family lived in a village, but did not own the land. Instead, your father supplemented paid jobs with long trips to the woods, hunting and trapping, always keeping a wary eye for the Lord's game wardens. 10 skill level, focus point in scouting and crossbow, 1 additional point in cunning, so poachers. And then mercenaries. Your father joined one of Vladia's many mercenary companies, composed of men who got a taste for war in their lord's service, though they never took well to peace. The crossbowmen were such valued much across Calradia. Your mother was a camp follower, taking you along in the wake of bloody campaigns. 10 skill level, 1 focus point in roguery and crossbow, and then 1 to control. So, vigour. Vigour represents the ability to move with speed and force. It's important for melee combat. One-handed is one-handed weapons, either with or without shield. Two-handed is two-handed weapons. Axes and swords, polearm. One-handed, two-handed polearms. Bow, familiarity and physical conditioning to shoot them efficiently. Knowledge and operation and maintaining crossbows. Mastery of throwing projectiles accurately and with power. Riding is the ability to control a horse, keep your balance when it moves suddenly or unexpectedly, as well as general knowledge of horses, including their care and breeding. Physical fitness, speed, and balance. Smithing, the knowledge of how to forge metal, such as how to handle a blade, turn poles, sew scales, and other useful skills in the assembly of weapons and armour. Control represents the ability to use strength without sacrificing precision, necessary for using ranged weapons. Endurance is the ability to perform taxing physical activity for a long time. Cunning is the ability to predict what other people do and then outwit their plans. Social is the ability to understand people's motivations and to sway them. Intelligence represents aptitude for reading and theoretical learning. Scouting. Knowledge of how to scan the wilderness for life. You can follow tracks, spot movement in the undergrowth, and spot an enemy across the valley from a flash of light on spear points or a dust cloud. Tactics. Your judgment of how troops will perform in contact. This allows you to make a good prediction of when an unorthodox tactic will work and when it won't. Roguery. Experience with the darker side of human life. You can tell when a guard wants a bribe, you know how to intimidate somebody, and you have a good sense of what you can and can't get away with. Charm, the ability to make a person like and trust you. You can make a good guess at people's motivations and the kinds of arguments that they'll respond to. Leadership, the ability to inspire. You can fill individuals with confidence and stir up enthusiasm and courage in large groups. Your familiarity with the most common goods in the marketplace and their prices, as well as the ability to spot defective goods or tell if you've been shortchanged in quantity. Steward, your knowledge of what makes the settlement prosper. This helps you manage an estate or administer a town. Interesting. Medicine, knowledge of how to staunch bleeding, to set broken bones and to remove embedded weapons, and clean wounds to prevent infection. Apply poultices to relieve pain and soothe inflammation. Engineering, knowledge of how to make things that can withstand powerful forces without collapsing, useful for building both structures and the devices that knock them down. Oh no, Mordred is coughing. Yeah, I've got a bit of a deep-set cough, which is a bit annoying. It's not corona, I don't have a fever or anything. Just a cough that refuses to go. Were crossbows a thing in Warband? Yes, absolutely they were. So I'm thinking either the Baron's retainers for that riding and polearm, because, you know, Lancer, and then 1 point in social, which will make us better at persuading people, which I think is actually going to come really heavily into play later on, when you can effectively exchange favours with lords to get them to follow you into battle and stuff like that. Or we could go for the urban merchants. Your family were merchants in one of the main cities of the kingdom, so this would give us 10 skill, focus in trade and charm, and then 1 point in intelligence. I think I'm probably going to go for the retainer. This was roguery and crossbow, which isn't really what I want to do. No, I think we're going to go retainers. Do it just for the pimp coat. Well, hopefully I do start with some armour if I do this. I suspect I probably will. Drink tea! Choose your early childhood. As a child, I was noted for my leadership skills, my brawn, my attention to detail, my aptitude for numbers, my way with people, and my skill with horses. I mean... I feel like I've got to go with the skill with horses, because it is very much what I am known for. My cavalry abilities are peerless. I mean, I am definitely noted for my skill with horses, not necessarily my positive skill. Yeah, I really need to get my cavalry emotes. They're in production, they're being made. We've got an early draft of them up on the Discord in the emote suggestions if anyone wants to see what the cavalry emotes will look like. But they haven't been delivered yet. I'm going to go with the skill of the horses. Like, it's really got to be. I'll read the others, but I think that decision's been made. In the wolf pup gang of your early childhood, you if the wolf pup gang of the early childhood and an alpha, it was definitely you. All of the other kids followed your lead and decided what to play and where to play, and led them in the games and mischief. This would give leadership tactics and cunning. You were big, and other children looked to have you around, and any scrap with children from the neighbouring village. You pushed a plough and threw an axe like an adult. Two-handed throwing and vigour. You were quick on your feet and attentive to what was going on around you. Usually you could run away from trouble, though you could give a good account of yourself in a fight with other children if cornered. Athletics and one-handed, and a point of control. Aptitude for numbers. Most children around you had only the most rudimentary education, but you lingered after class to study letters and mathematics. You were fascinated by the marketplace, weights and measures, tallies and accounts, and chatter about profits and losses. I mean, that one probably would be the one that I would go for if I was going to do a very Mordred, but oh my gosh. That skill with horses, though. Oh, the cavalry emote's just a bunch of dead horses. That is one of them, yes. You've always been attentive to other people, good at guessing their motivations. You studied how individuals were swayed and tried what you learned from adults on your friends. So you gained charm, leadership, and a point of social, or your skill with horses. You were always drawn to animals and spent as much time as possible hanging out in the village stables. You could kill horses and were sometimes called in to kill more colts. You learned the basics of killing horses, much of which you found applicable to humans as well. So again, 1 focus point in riding, 1 in medicine, and then 1 additional endurance. Alright, skill with horses, here we go. Like all village children, you helped out in the fields. You also herded the sheep, worked in the village smithy, repaired projects, gathered herbs in the wild, hunted small game, or sold produce at the market. So, herding the sheep. You went with other fleet-footed youths to take their village's sheep, goats or cattle to graze in pastures near the village. You were in charge of chasing down the stray beasts, always kept a big stone to hand to be hurled if lurking predators, if necessary. Athletics, throwing, and a point of control. Worked in the smithy. You're apprenticed to the local smith. You learned how to heat and forge metal, hammering for hours at a time until your muscles ached. Two-handed in smithing, and another point in vigour. Repaired projects. You helped dig wells, rethatch houses, fix broken plows. You learned about the basics of construction, as well as what it takes to keep the community prosperous. Point in smithing and engineering, point in intelligence. Gathered herbs in the wild. You were sent by the village healer to the hills to look for useful medicinal plants. You learned which herbs healed wounds or brought down a fever, and how to find them. Hunted small game. You accompanied a local hunter as he went into the wilderness, helping him set traps and catch small animals. 1 point in bow, tactics, and a point in control. Or you sell produce at the market. You took your family's goods to the nearest town to sell the produce and buy supplies. It was hard work, but you enjoyed the hubbub of the marketplace. Trade, charm, and social. I think we're going to sell produce at the market. And then the youth. As a youngster growing up in Calradia, war was never too far away from you. You served as the Baron's groom, trained in the cavalry, stood guard with the garrisons, rode with the scouts, trained with the infantry, or joined the skirmishers. So, served as a Baron's groom, your family arranged for you to accompany a minor baron in the Vlandian kingdom. You were not given major responsibilities, mostly carrying messages and tending to the horse, but it did give you a chance to see how campaigns were planned, and men were deployed in battle. Steward tactics and cunning. Trained with the cavalry. You could never have brought equipment on your own if you were a good enough rider, so the local lord lent you horse and equipment. You joined the armoured cavalry, training with the lance. Riding, polearm, and endurance. Stood guard with the garrisons. Urban troops spend much of their time guarding the town walls. Most of the training was in missile weapons, especially useful during sieges. Crossbow, engineering, and intelligence. Rode with the scouts. All of Calradia's kingdoms recognise the value of good light cavalry, and are sure to recruit nomads and borderers with skills to fulfil those duties. You were a good enough rider that your neighbours pitched in to buy you a small pony and a sheaf of javelin so you could fulfil their levy obligations. Riding, bow, and endurance. Trained with the infantry. Levies armed with spear and shield, drawn from the small-holding farmers, have always been the backbone of most armies of Calradia. Polearm, one-handed, and vigour. Or join the skirmishers. Younger recruits, or those of slighter build, or those too poor to buy the shield and armour, tend to join the skirmishers. Fighting with bow and javelin, they try to stay out of reach of the main enemy forces. I think we're either going to go groom or garrison. No, I think we'll go groom. Steward tactics and cunning. That does sound a bit like me. Choose young adulthood. Before you set out for a life of adventure, your biggest achievement was... You defeated an enemy in battle. You led a successful manhunt. You invested some money in land. You hunted a dangerous animal. You had a famous escapade in town. Or you just treated people well. So, defeated an enemy in battle. Not everyone who musters for levy marches to war, and not everyone who goes to campaign sees action. You did both. And you took down an enemy warrior in direct one-to-one combat in full view of your comrades. Focus point, one-handed, two-handed, vigour, and additional valour, plus 1 to valour. Oh, there's valour. That's something else. And then renown. We don't know what valour does. I'm guessing that's like fame. Oh, maybe not. If there's calculating as well. Led a successful manhunt. And renown is renown. So valour is going to be something else. Interesting. When your community needed to organise a posse to pursue horse thieves, you were the obvious choice. You hunted down the raiders, surrounded them and forced their surrender, and then took back your stolen property. Hey, Marshal. This gives tactics, leadership, cunning, calculating, and renown. You invested some money in land. Your parents didn't give you much money, but they did leave you just enough for you to purchase a small plot of unused land at the edge of the village. You cleared away the rocks, dug an irrigation ditch, and raised a few seasons of crops, then sold it for considerable profit. Point in trade and smithing, extra intelligence, calculating, and renown. Hunted a dangerous animal.